joining. I'll wait a few seconds for everyone to kind of get settled. I hope everyone had a great summer and is feeling nice and recharged for the new academic school year ahead. Must be a busy time for you all, as either you've already started or you're preparing to open your doors. All right, so yeah, I would like to welcome everyone back to our town halls. We took a break through July and August, but we'll be back every Thursday throughout the school year as a space for support and leadership for all Montessori school leaders. These are always free meetings. They're welcome to pretty much any Montessori school leader, so feel free to invite a fellow Montessorian on board as well. They take place at the same time, same day every week. But we're really excited to welcome one of our own community members today who will be speaking and sharing her expertise. We're joined today by Shawn Edwards. She's going to be sharing her expertise on setting leadership goals. She's been teaching and leading Montessori schools for over 3 decades. She's also a positive discipline trainer and holds a master's degree in transformational leadership and coaching. She was the head of school at Mariposa Montessori School in Austin, and now she is dedicating her full-time to coaching and consulting work. So definitely reach out to her if you need some support for your Montessori school. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to her as she leads our presentation, and hopefully at the end we'll have some time for questions. So feel free to leave any comments or questions in the chat so we can address that later. All right, Shawn.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Camilla and Camille. And it's always great to connect with you, and really love your organization and all the great work you all do. So it's an honor to be here with all of you, and thanks to those of you who jumped on. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about Montessori leadership as we're starting the new school year in the respect of taking care of ourselves and setting ourselves up for success. And I'm a firm believer that setting ourselves up for success is part of that self-care. When things are going smoothly and things are going well, then we feel good, and we have more time to take care of ourselves because we're putting out less fires, and we're actually doing the things that we love, and we're focusing on growing and maturing the school and improving all of our systems and routines. So let's get started. So I always like to start with earning the right, and Camilla did a great job. She pretty much shared everything that I'm going to share with you now, but I do have 34 years in Montessori, 15 actually as a head of school. I'm a positive discipline trainer, and I have a master's in leadership and coaching. I do have a consulting business, and I work for CGMS. We'll talk about my consulting business at the end, because right now, moving forward, this is all about you. All right, so I want to start with this quadrant. This is from a book called The Spirit of Leadership, written by Harrison Owen. And you can actually find this graphic on managementhelp.org. It's on page 162 of the book. But I love this quadrant in respect to this presentation specifically and especially because it does deal with really 4 important pieces of how we take care of our schools and take care of ourselves at the same time. So for organizational systems, and schools certainly are organizational systems, there is the me, right? There's the you. We have to take care of me, and the best to me is the one that's engaged and present. And maximizing potential through self-awareness, self-discipline, self-direction. So me is an important part of an organizational structure. And then the we. All right, so then how our interpersonal skills and our interpersonal skills engage and invite others to follow our mission. So we're maximizing group cohesiveness with the we piece through and through that, you're also empowering. You're empowering your teams as you do those things. So yes, there's the me and there's the we, and the we is the children, the staff, and the parents. And then people in the external community as well. So then we have the culture of the school. So now that we are taking care of me and we are also going to be attending to the culture. So the culture starts with your vision and your mission, your shared identity, your values and beliefs. and how we're making connections, how we're talking to each other, how we're talking about the mission and vision and bringing it to life, and the why, the meaning behind all of that. So making sure that we're paying attention to a strong, healthy culture in our schools, and then maximizing networks. So yes, the community is important as well. So we want cooperative partners, we want communities of practice, and we want systems that bring meaning to us. So setting yourself up for success as a school leader, yes, attending to me, attending to we, attending to the culture, and attending to the community, and then moving on with planning. So take care of yourself as a leader begins with planning and preparing, in one of my opinions. So we want to do some proactive planning so we set ourselves up for success and we're not spinning our wheels and we're not being reactive day in and day out. We've been proactive, so now we can respond and we can enjoy and we can improve upon systems and routines instead of being behind the curveball. As I know we all have felt as leaders, things are coming at us and we're, spinning our wheels, trying to get to those particular issues and happenings. So proactive planning, and then implementing those plans and setting boundaries for yourself, growing your sphere of influence, and delegating and empowering. So I think that you can see that these 5 pieces of planning do touch on the we, me, the culture, and the community. All right, so how do we do that? Well, I'm a huge advocate for planning your calendar in June and July for the whole next year. Your administrative meetings, maybe the first Monday at 10 a.m., for example. Your finance meeting, when are they? And are they on the calendar? Does everybody know when they are for the entire year? I think staff meetings is really important. So how you structure your staff meetings, I think really touches on the we. It also touches on the culture of the school, and it offers an opportunity to build community as well, internal community and maybe even external community. So the way I plan my calendar is that I have the lead teachers, all the lead teachers meetings on the first Monday of the month after school. And part of that we and part of that culture and community, I have them each sign up to host those meetings so that each lead teacher has an opportunity. And if you have a lot of teachers, they can pair up and host together. But each meeting is hosted by a lead teacher or maybe 2 together. And those hosts bring a snack and then also a little icebreaker. So it gives them an opportunity to shine and to be seen and to feel valued. Everyone wants to feel capable, valuable, and powerful. And any way that we can help our staff feel capable, valuable, and powerful, and involve them in a leadership capacity, I think that we want to make sure that we take those opportunities. So then your 0 to 3 teachers could be on the second Monday of the month. Your 3 to 6 teachers on the third Monday of the month after school. And your 6 to 12 teachers on the last Monday of the month. And so adolescents, I didn't have adolescents, so I would, maybe think about if you have adolescents, which, how you would incorporate that group into this. And as I said, for the lead teacher meetings, each teacher signs up to host. And for the level meetings, the department meetings, each teacher signs up to do a lesson study as part of that, as part of the agenda. And so each teacher would sign up for a lesson, either, a material and a presentation that maybe they're struggling with, or they found a really cool way to present it and maybe have come up with some really cool extensions that they can share with the group. And then I want to go back to the lead teacher meetings for a second as well. One of the things that you can do for the lead teacher meetings on that agenda is, yes, you're going to want to talk about business, whatever business is coming up. Maybe there's an event coming up, or maybe there's a staff retreat coming up. And you can also do what I call teachers helping teachers, or a child study protocol, where you get together in a group and one of the teachers is able to bring up a challenge that they're having with one of their students. And then as the teachers are given tools through positive discipline or whatever your process is for discipline, then they can start to brainstorm together and role play and maybe come up with some really great solutions. And together as a team, they're becoming solution-oriented problem solvers. All right, so the teachers themselves also want to be seen and recognized and acknowledged by you on a one-on-one basis. So make sure your calendar has monthly meetings set up with each teacher. And once those ongoing recurring meetings are set up, then you know when you can plan your observations in those environments. So if you know you have a meeting coming up with Sally on Thursday, the second week of the month, then you want to make sure that you're able to complete an observation in that environment before the meeting. And when you have those meetings, you can discuss the observations. You can go over annual goals and benchmarks. And then, of course, have time to talk about students, parents, assistant relations, and anything else that may be on the mind of that particular teacher. Okay, and then this is something else, a little, a little something that I wanted to share with you that has been really successful for me. So you have those meetings scheduled all throughout the year, and in November, February, and May, you don't have all of those Monday meetings. Instead, you have an evening meeting. And that is so that all of the staff can attend at the same time, including all of your support staff and all of your assistant teachers and your administrative team. Everybody's together for an evening meeting where dinner is served. And hopefully there's a presentation or a professional development of some sort. And this is also a time when you can have your staff break into pairs and discuss goals for the year. November, February, and May are benchmark times. So, we all make goals for ourselves. For me, I had all of our staff members created 3 goals for themselves. And then for each one of those goals, it was broken down. Where do I want to be in November? Where do I want to be in February? Where do I want to be in May? And even more effective, where do I want to be in May? So where do I need to be in February? And where do I hope to be in November? And so this is an opportunity at this meeting for people to get in pairs and discuss their goals and then share with the larger group. Oh, I'm doing great with this goal. And everybody celebrates, or I'm still working on this benchmark. I haven't gotten there yet, and I could use help in this respect. So this also builds community because the lead teachers are helping each other and supporting each other. It's also a time when you can do a faculty culture profile, meeting that community and culture aspect of the quadrant, the 4-tiered quadrant. And the faculty culture survey or profile helps you to understand the temperature and the tone of how everybody's feeling at the school. And then those areas that are a little bit weaker when you come back together the next meeting, and even at your department meetings and your lead teacher meetings, you can start discussing these things. Oh, I noticed that our score on meetings being meaningful and productive is low. So let's talk about some ways that, why you feel that way, if you do, and ways that we can improve on that. So inviting them, to have that voice and to be part of the brainstorming, and just like in the classroom, when the staff have some say in kind of how things are going, they're much more likely to embrace it and to honor it and to respect it. All right, and then get your parent education calendar and your parent event calendar done in the summer so it's all set for the whole year. There are times when maybe we need to change our calendar, but if you can honor your calendar dates as much as possible through the whole year, I think that also fosters trust in the parents, in the community, and also speaks highly of the organization in terms of professionalism. So this is an events calendar. And, I just found one that we had at Solana Beach, where we have some of the different events scheduled for every month. And this one is a little light, actually, because you could see it was COVID going on by the date. And here's a parent education event schedule. So it outlines all of the parent education events for the entire year, starting with freedom and responsibility, which is kind of a big philosophical piece of Montessori, which everything else fits into. And then moving into, other parent education events, the Montessori culture curriculum, positive discipline, why Montessori kindergarten, Montessori 101, why Montessori elementary. And you want to make sure that you're doing that third year or that last year of primary, which is what I called kindergarten on this template, and elementary before re-enrollment, and preferably in the first semester, because people start thinking about the next year as soon as November. Preparation of the Montessori adult, Montessori outcomes, Montessori art, music, and performing arts, Montessori language curriculum, Montessori math curriculum. Also, I want to say that traditions are really great. I know at Solana Beach, and you didn't see it on the COVID events calendar, but every fall in October, we had an international festival, and every spring we had an art walk, and we would choose a theme for the art walk. I remember one year it was nature and landscapes artist. And so as we were researching all of those in the elementary classroom, we really dug into that whole theme of nature and really focused on the botany curriculum, the botany experiments, and even did like a little musical about carrots and peas. All right, and schedule those meetings with the room parents or your PTA in advance as well. I really think that it's important to have an administrative representative there, whether it be you and or your admissions director or somebody that can answer questions at those meetings, and also steer the momentum and the focus in a very positive way. And then managing and leading your administrative staff at the beginning of the year, make sure that, or before the school year begins. And again, that's why I think heads of schools are so busy in June and July, because all of these things, if they're doing all of these things and having all these things set up, then the year starts out with a really healthy flow, and everybody is very clear. Everybody feels really safe. And then you can really start digging into the quality of the education that the children are receiving. So are their job descriptions clear? Do they have daily, weekly, monthly tasks created for themselves? I used to keep it in a little booklet, keep it on an online folder. This is what a day in the life of our admissions director looks like. This is what her week might look like. This is what her month looks like on a regular basis. And then these are some special projects that are going on this year. So if for whatever reason somebody is not, takes a leave of absence or isn't able to come in for whatever reason for an extended period of time, somebody can sit in that chair and in that position and be able to see kind of what the roles are. Weekly meetings are really important with the admin team. And then I find that in a project software is really good as well. So I used Asana. I noticed that Monday.com has an accountability software as well. And the reason for this is to have have your admin meeting and all the tasks that are discussed during that admin meeting put into Asana so that everybody can see what everybody's doing. And then there's an opportunity for them to let you know when they're finished. So you can take a peek at any time and see what is getting done, what is, taking longer than you expected, and how can you support that person to be more on top of things. Same thing with your board, having a meeting with your board president to make sure that things are staying strategically focused with the board, not operational. So that the school is continuing to advance and grow, and they are trusting you and your admin team and your staff to manage all of the operations of the school, that there's a strategic financial plan in place, and that your meetings for self-care reasons are happening during the school day, not at 7 o'clock on a Tuesday night, so that on Wednesday you're coming in thoroughly exhausted and depleted. All right. So also taking care of yourself, taking great care of your school and planning proactively really helps you to be able to have those times for additional self-care. And you're also thinking about those 4 quadrants, the me, the we, the culture, and the community. So think about your staff, and do you know your staff? Do you know what their strengths are? So this is a little quiz that I do sometimes when I present workshops for parents and or educators, where they look at these shapes and they choose the one that they like best. And what that does is that tells you a lot. Okay, so this is the website here. It's management personality types, if you want to look that up. And it's a short, brief, fun little activity that you can do with your staff that brings a lot of laughter and a lot of fun and also a lot of understanding of each other. And what it does for you as the head of school and an administrator or a school leader is it gives you some insight into who's going to be really great at what, and how can I really focus on these people's strengths and put them in positions where they're going to be successful and really serve the needs of the school. So, here it is. Basically, your circles are your people. They're very focused on people. They love to take care of people. So they're great for parties, meetings, community buildings, event planners, greeters, okay, in the face of the parents a lot because, they really love people and they're really fun. You can find out who your circles are and let that be your social committee for the year. So they're planning your staff events and your staff outings, and even maybe the meals and the potlucks, the Christmas, the holiday parties, the end of year celebrations. These can be the people that love doing that. So they're going to have fun doing it. And you're acknowledging their strengths. So it makes them feel good, feeds that sense of value. And it's also serving your community. All right. So then the squiggles are your visionaries and your idea people. So at anytime you're thinking about, I really would like to think about expanding our program so that we can add a middle school or a high school. You get your squiggles together and talk about their ideas and get them brainstorming because they come up with really great ideas. They're visionaries and they need the triangles to kind of be their project managers to get everybody on organized so that whatever those visions are can be brought to fruition. And then your squares are your detail people who can do behind the scenes, crunching numbers, making spreadsheets, things like that. So everybody has a valuable place and everybody has wonderful things to contribute to your school, feeding the culture, feeding the community of the school, and also addressing that we and me piece of the quadrant. All right. Also, I said a little bit earlier that everybody wants to feel capable, valuable, and powerful. And I think when you invite people to contribute to the larger scale components of the organization, it does feed that sense of value. Just like children at home, if you phrase it correctly, you want your children at home, for example, to have chores so that that sense of value can be fed for them, that they're a valuable contributing member of the family. This happens organically in the classrooms, especially, as the children get older, they all have jobs. And they all have responsibilities that are bigger and broader than just their own responsibilities, because it helps them feel a sense of ownership over their classrooms. And the same is true for adults. So think about community jobs that can rotate regularly, annually, maybe semi-annually, but things that need addressing in your school, that your staff can help with, which is part of you delegating as well and taking things off of your plate so that you can spend as much time as you can with teachers and parents and observations, those types of things. So any time that you can delegate that to somebody else and support them in their work, that frees you up to be really, really present and to have that sense of connectivity with your constituents, which is really, really important. So think about community jobs and how you might want to have your team members sign up for those. All right, set boundaries for yourself. This is part of self-care too. So now we're always thinking we, me, culture, community. We're thinking about if you're proactively helping your community feel safe through your planning, through being predictable, consistent, and fair. Predictability is really important. So all the things that I've talked about before now, really sets that tone of, wow, they're really professional. They're on top of their game. They have the whole year planned out. I feel really safe here. I really trust that these people know what they're doing. That's really, really important. And it's true for staff and parents. Okay, so now that you've done that proactive work, so that you can start really focusing on what am I going to be, what are my goals and what are my priorities, you can also start thinking about self-care so that you can be as fresh as you possibly can be every single day. So you're going to work an 8-hour day, not a 10-hour day. Work from home occasionally. Set your team up for success with all of those things that we just talked about, and you will be able to do that. You will be able to sit home and do your work and trust that things are taken care of and that people are joyfully engaged. Okay, say no, it's okay. Don't make exceptions for people, and do be proactive. So I say don't make exceptions because you want to be that person that they see as predictable, consistent, and fair. And when you start making exceptions for certain employees, it starts to eat away at that emotion of trust. So that's not to say you're not going to be empathic when somebody has issues and they come to you. You can be empathic, you can be understanding, you can brainstorm, be a great ear for them, and help move them into solution-oriented problem solving. But once you start making exceptions for people, it kind of blurs and muddies the waters. And then greet families in the morning. Seeing you in the morning helps them feel safe as well. And be kind and firm at the same time all the time. This is going to be really great for you with all of your constituents. If you can acknowledge and affirm and show understanding with whatever issues they're bringing to you, and set your boundary all the time and use the word and, not but. So I understand that you have a difficult classroom this year and you want to take time off. We all do. And next week is not the best time because we have parent-teacher conferences or whatever it may be. So acknowledge, affirm, show understanding, set your boundary, and use the word and instead of but. Now, take your PTO days and take your vacation days. I know oftentimes we feel like there's too many things going on and that we can't get away. Yet this time away recharges you and you bring a better version of yourself to the community. And if you are proactive in planning and getting those systems and routine and structures and expectations and standards in place, it's more likely that you are going to be able to take your PTO days and your vacation days because things are going to be running smoothly. And then when you're on campus and while you're working, do what you love to do. So obviously you're leading, you're meeting with parents, you're meeting with staff, you're doing observations, you're supporting your admin team, you're meeting with your board or whatever governance structure you have in place. So let's find time to do the things that you love. And these may not be the things that you love, but I'm sure you have things that you love that you can bring to the children. Maybe you're a sewer or you're a knitter. Maybe you do want to read to the children. Maybe you would love to form a running club. I did that with the elementary group after school. I took the after school care elementary group in Solana Beach down the street and we ran the beach and then the parents picked them up at the beach. So it was a way for me to do something that I loved and share it with the children. Play a guitar, garden, hike, take them garden, come out, invite them to garden or take them hiking, model joyful living. And then this is really important too. So if you haven't done this, and I know, for example, I know Kelly's on today and she is part of a leadership cohort for CGMS. So she has a little support group kind of built into that. But I think it is really, really important for you to expand your sphere of influence for yourself and for the people that you're potentially going to be able to influence. Get off campus, go to the Chamber of Commerce luncheons, and market the school. Visit other schools. Start developing relationships with other heads of schools. Invite them over for breakfast and tour of your schools. Form a club. I know when I was in at the Post Oak School in Houston, we had an organization called MAN, which was Montessori Administrators Network, and we would meet 4 times a year. And there were many of us in this organization, and we actually had a little budget, and we contributed funds, and then we would hire speakers, and we would have lunch together, and we would talk about important things. And what was really special about that is, as we became more and more connected with each other, we could pick up the phone and call each other if we were having issues. And it was so easy to do things like, oh, I really want to do a competitive analysis of my staff and their benefits. I'm going to reach out to all of these schools that I'm in connection with and see what they're offering. And now they have a connection and a relationship with you, so they're much more likely to give you that information. So read and work out, take a walk, or get off campus during your lunch break. Take your little break in the middle of the day and doing some self-reflection, whatever it is that you like to do. Maybe you're meditating, maybe you're, just going for a coffee, or just sitting in your car and taking a nap, whatever it is, so that you can re-energize, refresh, and then go back. All right. And remember the 4 agreements. If you haven't read this book, it's a really great book by Miguel Ruiz, where he talks about these 4 agreements, which are pretty easy to remember. And actually, the book is a pretty easy read, a short, quick read, and full of wisdom for leaders, especially those of us who are needing self-care so that we can do our best work at these organizations. So the 4 agreements are: be impeccable with your word. And I know in Montessori, we're very big on integrity, and we want to be living lives of integrity and being impeccable with our word. And when you are impeccable with your word, then it's not necessary to take things personally. And then we're not making assumptions about things. We're actually doing our research, connecting, attending to that we and the community and the culture to find out what's really going on. And then role playing and brainstorming and becoming solution-oriented problem solvers. And then always do your best. So at the end of the day, if you've been impeccable with your word, you don't need to take things personally. You're not making assumptions, and you're always doing your best. So you feel really good about yourself and your work. Great book if you haven't read it. Keep your hobbies alive. Spend time with family and friends on the weekends, especially. And at the end of every day, because I think oftentimes we leave at the end of the day thinking, oh gosh, I wish I would have done this, or this didn't go so well, or, oh, I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight because that one parent is so upset about her child being bitten. So at the end of every day, whether it be in bed right before you go to sleep, right before you leave for the end of the day, write down 3 things that went well. And it's really great to keep that in the same little journal so that you can go back, especially if you've had a really rough week, and maybe you get in bed on a Friday night and you're just looking through all of those days and weeks of really great things that have been going on. It reminds you, of all of the greatness that is happening around you. And when things get chaotic and they get sticky and they get challenging, those are actually good things because it's a sign of a rebirth. So there has to be chaos before there is a rebirth. So always know that when things start to feel really shaky, there might be a really great rebirth coming at the end of that. All right. And then this is a little bit more about me. My company is called ToolHows, How-To Tools for Parents and Schools. I provide coaching, consulting, and then workshops and trainings as well. So reach out if you have more questions, or if you want to find out more of what I do, or are looking for coaching, consulting, or workshops and trainings for your professional development.
Awesome. You shared a lot of great tips there, Shawn. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and open it up for discussion. If anyone also has a few questions, or if they have tips of their own that they'd like to share with kind of how they organize, how they goal set, and how they stay on top of things throughout the year. So if anyone has any ideas, suggestions, or questions, you can comment in the chat, or you can unmute yourself. Yeah, let's discuss. We have a question here in the chat.
Okay.
Wally says, the structure of the meetings and events presented is very nice. How does an administrator of a small to medium school manage the workload that such a structure requires? In addition, you talk about additional things like participating with Chamber of Commerce, meeting with other heads of schools, visiting other schools, etc. All this appears to make it a 48-hour workday for the administrator.
Oh, with that, yes, that's a good question. I think I'm going to speak to the latter part of it first. So the idea is to do these Chamber of Commerce luncheons and things during the workday. So you're planning ahead of time, and oh, the Chamber of Commerce meets the first Wednesday of every month. So you keep your calendar pretty clear on those days. Now, of course, there is going to be the occasion where there's some problem happening at the school, and maybe you don't get to go to luncheon that month. But I think that the idea behind this is to plan, so be looking at your calendar. Oh, I'm not going to plan meetings on, after noon on Wednesdays because I'm going to that Chamber of Commerce luncheon. And then I'm going to go home for the rest of the day and work from home. And so, yes, this does mean that you have to have people around you that you trust and on your staff taking care of your school. And if that's not in place yet, then that just needs to start being built. If it's a small school and you have, a toddler teacher that maybe can leave her nappers with her assistant in the afternoon so you can be in the front office, or just kind of thinking outside the box. If it's a larger school, your admin team knows in advance, hey, on Wednesday afternoons, I'm not going to be in the office. I am going to be working on behalf of the school because I'm out there marketing for the school and getting to know people in the community. So that was the latter part of it. In the meetings, I think it's the same thing. It's thinking about how can I host these staff meetings and department meetings and still make sure that the school at the front office is being taken care of. So maybe just thinking outside of the box. Who could sit up here and answer the phones while I'm making sure that I'm attending to my staff and helping them to feel valued. I hope that answers it. Well, maybe some of you have some other experiences and thoughts around that.
I was just going to say that from my experience when I was in my school, when we had the whole year planned out like that, similar to how you outlined it, it really felt like a load was off in terms of like, you're not scrambling every month to say, okay, what meetings do we need to have this month? And if you just take the time to set up that structure, and yeah, sometimes stuff comes up and you have to reschedule or whatever, but if you already have that framework set up and people just expect it, then it really kind of frees up your mental capacity to focus on other things. That's what
so that you can be that me that's present.
Right.
And I think that's the idea, is the proactive planning and structure is a good term for that, Camille. But yeah, once you have that structure in place, then you can kind of breathe.
Yeah, exactly.
And especially in September. So if you do all that legwork in June and July, and get things really set for the year, and then August is kind of busy because the teachers come back and you're taking care of them and you're preparing the environments, and then you're having the new students come in and meeting new parents. And then in September, everybody's prepared. Everybody knows what the school year is going to feel like. It's predictable. And then you can kind of start breathing a little easier in September.
I'm going to ask a question that's kind of related to the teacher meetings that you were talking about and appreciation and things like that. Because I know a lot of schools right now, they're really struggling with staffing and finding teachers and things like that. And so schools need some type of retention strategy a lot of the times, keep staff on board, because we know that when they leave, it will be hard to kind of find a replacement, especially one that's Montessori trained.
Right.
So kind of what tips, I mean, you shared a few, but what are your strategies for approaching, retention?
Yeah. Well, I think, I mean, I don't know exactly where this source comes from, but I do know that I've read and I've heard that the number one people leave organizations, and this might be a little cloudy right now because of everything that happened with COVID and the world's changed a little bit. But one of the main reasons people leave organizations is because they feel ignored. And I think oftentimes it's heads of schools. We do get pulled in, to committee work with the boards and dealing, with a difficult parent or, things of that nature. And that's still going to happen. But I think if you, if you have it in your plans where, oh, we have these staff meetings, they're going to feel important because I've given them a role of hosting the meeting. I've given them the role of presenting a lesson, to the whole group and having conversations about that. She observes in my classroom, every month and meets with me. And, those monthly observations are important, but so is walking around, and just kind of stopping in for those 5 minutes. Hey, how's it going? There's a lot of value in that as well. And so I think the idea is, especially now more than ever, we have to set up environments that our staff want to, they have to want to be there. So it's not so much that, oh, they have to show up because they have this job. And as much as you can, you create an environment that they want to be, where they want to be. And a lot of that has to do with how much attention you're giving them, and how much they're feeling seen and heard and valued. And then those observations, lots of encouragement, lots of empowerment through things that you see that are going well, and how that feeds their sense of capability. And then gentle with the areas that they may need some support with.
Any other questions? Does anyone want to share their goals for the school year, or any challenges that they might be facing that they're kind of preparing for? Feel free to use the chat. Also, if you're joining us on Facebook, we're monitoring the comments there as well. So feel free to drop any questions.
I just have one question here in terms of the discussion we're having. With respect to basically managing the teachers and wanting them to be there and happy and all that stuff. There are, in reality, you'll come across certain teachers who do cut corners, do not give their 100%. For example, in our case, we have one instance where a teacher is always showing up half an hour late. Yeah. All right. We have had many discussions, but she has maybe other things in life and all that she's managing. In the corporate world, this would be managed differently. But here, if I go and say, okay, you better shape up somehow, not using the same words, but in even a nice way. And if she says, okay, fine, I'm going to go somewhere else because there's such a shortage of these teachers. So that's one challenge that I think we face. For example, another teacher who is an upper elementary teacher has put her foot down. She doesn't want more than 15 kids in her classroom, no matter what. How do you grow the elementary program, the upper elementary program? And so, this is the challenge that one is dealing with in terms of how do you keep these teachers doing their best,
Mhm,
right? I
mhm.
mean, I'm sure there are some magic things you can do that will really motivate and have a light bulb go in their head. And then, as Camila mentioned, we just saw an ad, I think, on AMI website that some schools are even offering sponsoring opportunities for people to join so that they can basically hire these teachers once they finish their training. So this is
Right.
the problem that we are having, and then they're not finding these people. So
Mhm.
anyways, just essentially, how does one deal with these kind of
Yeah.
ongoing challenges that one faces?
Yeah, totally fair and great questions. So one of the things that I like to do is, well, first of all, help, creating an environment where you're inviting people to come because they want to be there. It doesn't mean that you don't have high standards and high expectations. Like I think I heard at an ISM workshop once, somebody asked a question about, well, what if, because we were talking about staff evaluations at the end of the year. Well, what if they can't get to work on time or they miss too many days? Well, those are basic requirements for employment, right? They don't even speak to the quality of the education that the person is or the quality of teaching that the person is delivering. So if they can't even do those basic things, then questioning, their commitment to the organization, is something you might want to do. And if you have done, community building at the beginning of the year and all of these things that we're talking about to kind of help them feel seen and heard, then the next thing that I would do is, look for that need behind the behavior. So that's kind of a positive discipline tool, but Alfred Adler writes about it. Rudolf Dreikers writes about that. All behavior is purposive. So, there's some need not being met when people are acting out. It's written about children, but it's true for adults too. So what, and then having that conversation with that teacher. So why are you late every day? Tell me what's going on. What's really going on? Okay. Is she looking for attention? Is she looking for power? Like she's being passive aggressive? And I would just have, a authentic conversation with her. And I think she needs to follow the process. You need to follow it with her too. Like she needs to be written up. People like to be held accountable. If it's done in a way that's respectful. I really want to support you. Let's talk about the reasons why you're having such a hard time getting to work on time and what's really going on. Do you like your job? Asking lots of questions. And giving them an opportunity to weigh in. And the same thing with your upper elementary teacher, that's just fear. So, and that kindness and firmness works really well with that. I understand that, that you're concerned about having more than 15 students. And these are the reasons why that's, that is not, we're not able to accommodate that this year. And let's brainstorm some ways that you can feel successful. And then I can help you, with 20 children or 22 or whatever it is. So, I know that it sounds idyllic, but, starting to use some of these tools and implementing them, it takes time. It's not going to change things overnight.
I would just add to that too, that if these things are allowed to just kind of continue, then it might bleed into your other staff members feeling like
making exceptions. Yeah.
Making exceptions. And that's just, but then that doesn't make for a healthy work.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely would, write that person up if it happens 3 times and have a conversation with them. Don't just throw the write up at them, but sit down with them and, well, I did have to write you up because, I'm sure you can imagine what this place would look like if everybody came in 15 minutes late, and we want you to be successful. We want the children to be successful. And let's talk about some things that are going on and can I help you brainstorm ways that you can get to work on time? And then if it still continues, 3 write-ups and then their employment is questionable. And I know that we're all kind of held hostage right now with, wanting to hold on to staff. And as Camille said, you don't want to be sending the message that you're just going to put up with any kind of behavior. And they really don't like that either. They don't really want that. They want to work in an organization where they're seen, heard, and they're held accountable, just like the children.
Mhm.
Any other questions, comments for Shawn, or just for the group in general? You have a couple of school leaders here who, if you want an opinion or anything like that, you can ask now. If not, you can also contact Shawn. Her website is ToolHows. I'll drop it in the chat below. So if you want to reach out to her, you can, for her services, or just, I guess, if you want to contact her to follow up on this meeting. As this is recorded as well, if you want to access it, we'll be posting it on Thrive and sharing it on our YouTube. So for those of you who want to watch the recording back or maybe join the meeting late, I'll also share the recording with Shawn, Shawn has access to it. She's part of our Montessori Thrive community as well. Like I said, these meetings are going to be happening on a weekly basis. So we'll see you next Thursday. Our topic next Thursday is going to focus on parent education. Just going to share some resources, some tips for getting your parent community on board now that you're welcoming new families for the new school year, how you can kind of get them on board with your mission, how you can support them. We all know that parents who have a little bit of a background foundation on Montessori, who may learn about parenting skills from you, they're just going to have more connectivity to your community. So I'll be sharing some tips on that. So feel free to join and register. Like I said, these are always free. So feel free to share the word. Shawn did mention it's so important for us as leaders to find a sense of community. Luckily, in the age of technology, there are so many online communities. We also have our Montessori Thrive Forum. You can join several Facebook groups. And yeah, you can join our weekly town halls. Like I said, these are a space, every topic that we cover hopefully is relevant. If you have a topic request, you can email me. I'm the one who organizes these meetings. So if there's ever a topic that you want to see or hear about, let me know. I just dropped my email in the chat. So you can contact me, reach out to me, let me know. What do you want to know more about? And I'll see if I can find a speaker or an expert to invite who's willing to share their expertise. Thank you to Shawn, and thank you for everyone who attended. And if you're watching this on a recording as well, feel free to comment. We'll look back on those comments as well and answer all your questions. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone.